Hello, you reached Manesh Patel from the EII Capital Group. Today is January 1st, 2012. This is our weekly Ichimoku analysis where we cover the futures market from everything from metals to oil to natural gas and so forth. Um, Happy New Year to everyone. This is the beginning of the first video for 2012. So we're going to spend some time going through some things. This is our normal disclaimer to state this is for education use only. All charts that you're going to see are basically from Thinkorswim, from TD Ameritrade. Also, we could show you some charts from TradeStation and FreeStockCharts.com. Here are my contact details here, mpatel@ei@capital.com. You could access any of our free resources here at ichimokutrade.com. Once you register for free, you can see our Twitter, Facebook. Also, you could access our heat maps for the futures market, and we'll explain some of the heat maps in just a moment. Okay. So one of the things I kind of want to quickly go through with you guys is if you go through ichimokutrade.com, you could see our heat map here. I'm going to quickly go to the futures side and then scroll down and then zoom in. Um, and I'm just going to quickly go through this real fast with you guys. Now, basically, trend strategies, you want to look for a 2 or 5 on the trading time frame. So, as you know, we've been going for daily and weekly. So, we're going to look for a 2 or a 4 on basically the daily time frame, and then on the weekly, you want to look for the same color with a 2, 4, or 5. If it's the opposite color, that basically means the daily time frame is a counter trend to the weekly and so forth. So again, you want to look for those two same colors, and then you want to look for 2 or 4, which is two trend strategies for the daily time frame, and then on the weekly, it's got to basically be a 2, 4, or 5. Okay, and if you scroll down here and look for these opportunities, you're going to have one here. Basically, crude oil is a bullish opportunity. Notice I said opportunities, and I'll talk more about them in a minute. Okay, and if you keep on scrolling down here, there's another one here, which is basically NASDAQ 100 continuous futures. So that's two. Then you've got another opportunity here, which is the E-mini NASDAQ opportunities. Okay, it's the same thing as a full-blown NASDAQ contract. Okay, and then if you keep on scrolling down, you have here crude oil. Again, this is basically the continuous contract here, E-mini. And if you scroll down some more, you got basically rice. Okay, that's an opportunity right there. No, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. That's not even a 4, a 2, 4, 5. So rice is not an opportunity there. If you scroll down and you keep on scrolling down, you're not going to see any other opportunities where you're looking for 2 or 4 on the daily time frame, which then equates to um, the which also has a 2, 4, or 5 on the weekly time frame. And then later on, we will go for the ES over here, which is the E-mini S&P 500 futures. You'll notice that basically it's got a 4 over here, and then it's got a 0 over here. So basically means there's no strategy on the weekly at all. Okay, so definitely ones to look at, as we mentioned, are going to be crude oil and then the NASDAQ futures going forward. Okay, now let's just quickly go through all the futures. Remember, on the left hand side is going to be the daily time frame. On the right hand side is going to be your weekly time frame. Okay, so if we just start from this week futures here, we're going to start going through them so you can see all the different levels. Here's cocoa futures here. You could see that basically it's trending downwards over here. Okay, this has already been in a trend here. It's been overextended, so it's kind of consolidating here at the very bottom now, and you could see that consolidation here. The more it consolidates, the more there's a chance that it's going to enter a major pullback, which it definitely needs to sooner or later. So if you're trying to go short, definitely wouldn't go short on that one. If you're trying to do a counter trend trade, you got to make sure at least gets above 2211, which is this next resistance level, and 2000 basically a support level there. Okay, crude oil. This is one that basically looks like opportunity. Remember on the heat map, it showed you there was a bullish opportunity. Now, just because on the heat map it says that these are opportunities there, doesn't mean they're ready to go. Okay, in order for them to go, they've got to break their next support or resistance level, depending if they're bullish or bearish. So in this case, crude oil here has got to sit there and start breaking these resistance levels here, which you kind of see one here, your minor one here, or you could just look at this pivot high here, which is 103.39. Okay, so it's got to break that level in order for it to start a trend. If it breaks that level, it's going to start a trend on both the daily and the weekly. Okay, so 103.39 is a key resistance level that's got to break. If it does, it's going to start a opportunity to sit there and go higher and possibly go back and retest 115 if it could break that level. Support level you're going to have is basically going to be right here at 97.42. So we're more towards the support level right now, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens in the next couple of days. Okay, next one is going to be cotton. If you look at cotton, it's been bearish trending off the weekly and was on the daily. Now it's basically entering a pullback level on the daily. So if you look at the resistance levels here, 94.52 is the first one. Next one's going to be 101.97, and support's going to be basically 89. Okay, but the daily is entering a pullback for the first time after a long time. US dollar, if you look at the US dollar, sentiment's bullish on here on the weekly. Hasn't started a trend on the weekly, believe it or not, but it is bullish. Over here on the daily, it's trending, but it's basically stuck at this major resistance level here. Let's just put the pivot high at 81.43. If it could break the 81.43, this thing's going to start a trend on both the daily and weekly and go up a lot more than it is right now. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Major support's going to be basically at 79.71. Okay. We've gone through dollar. I'm going to come back to gold in a minute. Let's go for feeder cattle. Feeder cattle really not doing anything on the daily. It's just consolidating. If you're on the weekly, it's still in the trend, believe it or not. But it's got to break its resistance level of 150 very soon. If it doesn't, it's going to break down. Support level is going to be basically at 140, 140.60. Lean hogs. Lean hogs is more to the bearish side. It's at a major support here, which is at 84.42. Sorry, 84.12. If it breaks that level, then it can start a trend there on both the daily and weekly. But it's got to break that trend in order to sit there and start moving downwards. Okay. Okay, so that's that for that one. And you could see here that it's got to break this level here at 84.21.12 in order to start a trend. But even if it breaks that level, it's got to break it with vengeance in order to start a trend on both the daily and weekly. That's one of the reasons why the heat map hasn't shown this one as an opportunity yet. But it really needs to break it with vengeance. Copper futures, if you look at copper, there's nothing really going on, just consolidating. Resistance, basically, major resistance is going to be at 3.767, and support's going to be around 3. So it's going to sit there and consolidate around those two ranges. But the sentiment is bearish. The more it consolidates, the weaker that bearish momentum's getting. Heating oil, if you look at it, it's at a major resistance level right now at 2.9289. It's got to hold there to start going downwards. Support level is going to be 2.8651. But if you look at the weekly time frame, it's just consolidating, really not doing anything here. Just consolidating between that range there and that range right here. So nothing's going to really happen in crude oil, heating oil until it breaks out to that side. If it breaks out, then breaks the resistance, then it has a potential of starting a trend. If it breaks the support, it doesn't have a potential of starting a trend, but it has a potential of changing sediments on a weekly time frame for the first time. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens with that one. Coffee futures, if you look at it, it's at a resistance level right now, 226.50. If it sits there and holds that, then it's got to break below 220. If it breaks below 220, it's going to have a potential of retesting lows and starting a trend to the bottom side. So definitely keep an eye on this one and breaking its support level at 220.83. If it does, then it's got a potential of going down a lot more. Next resistance level that this thing's got to get to is 251.60. Okay, lumber. If you look at lumber, it looks sediment's being bullish here on the daily time frame. If you look at the weekly, it's just consolidating. So nothing really going on there. Live cattle. If you look at live cattle here, just on the weekly time frame, it is bullish, and it's just consolidating completely. Its the next support is going to be basically 117.288, and it's really not doing anything at all. Do have a minor support at 120.762. But this thing's really got to break 125 in order to start a trend to the bullish side. Natural gas, if you look at this thing's still going down. It is an extremely oversold situation now. So the key is going to be, where is it going to go? If you go back all the way back to 2008, and the levels here are pretty much right here, 2.558. Does have a potential going down there, but it's going to be interesting to see exactly what's going to happen. Levels are oversold, so sooner or later this thing's going to have a bounce. But you know, with everything going on right now, it doesn't look like it, and I definitely would not try to get in ahead of it and try to go bullish when the thing's typically going down. If you look at orange juice, it's basically doing nothing at all, consolidating both of the daily and weekly. Palladium, if you look at Palladium, really doing nothing at all on the daily and weekly, just consolidating completely. Platinum, if you look at Platinum, this thing's been in a trend on both the daily and weekly, getting a little oversold scenario here right now where it kind of needs to equalize, and that's kind of what you're seeing here on the daily time frame where it equalized a little. It's got a minor resistance level here at 1400. The major resistance level is going to be 1461. And then, of course, the support level is going to be 1350 in order for it to keep on breaking downwards. Now, if you zoom out here, you could see that it's still got some time to keep on going. This thing could keep on sitting there going all the way down here to 1178, which is a major move as far as long term is concerned. But you know, it could sit there and stop anytime now. But it's gone for pretty far for a very long time. Um, let's go look at gasoline. Excuse me. If you look at gasoline really doing nothing on the daily and nothing on the weekly time frame at all, it's got to sit there and break this consolidation pattern down here. If it does, then it has a potential going south and starting a trend, which is basically a 2.47 to the downside. If it sits there and starts getting above $2.81, then this thing has a potential of going up and maybe starting a trend to the bullish side as far as the daily is concerned. But this is bearish all the way right now. Sugar, if you look at sugar, really doing nothing at all except consolidating. It started a trend, consolidating. Nothing really going on at all right now. The resistance level is going to be at 24.42, and support level is basically going to be this little consolidation pattern here at 22.78. If it breaks this little consolidation support level, this thing does have a potential of going down to another leg because it will be in sync on both the daily and weekly moving forward. Okay. Let's go look at mini gold. If you look at gold here, it came all the way down here. Next level of support is going to be around 1480, It was down here where it retested this pivot, which is 1535 is a minor one. Major one is going to be at 1481, so it does have a potential going down all the way down to there. Resistance levels you have are basically it's at 1583 is a minor one. The major one's going to be at 1642.45. Okay, so gold is still bearish, but if you look at a long term on a weekly time frame, it's the first pullback that it's experienced in a very long time. Okay, silver. If you look at silver, same thing as gold. It retested. It got down to its pivot low here back in what is this 2011 back in September. We retested. We bounced off that guy right now, which is at 2608. Its next resistance levels are going to be basically 28.171, and the major one is going to be at 2994. Okay, and if it breaks that one, then 35.15. So, you know, it's definitely bearish, but it's got a long ways to even try to go bullish again at all. 30-year Treasury bonds, if you look at them, they're still trending as far as the weekly is concerned, but they get a little top heavy here because it got into oversold scenario, overbought scenario very fast. And if you look at the daily time frame, it's just consolidating completely. It's got to break these resistance levels here, 1.147,005 in order to go higher. Resistance level, support levels are going to be basically 141,14 and then 134,26. Corn, if you look at corn, basically it's in the cloud, so it's consolidating. You can see a little upward movement right now. Next resistance level is going to be 675, 63, and support level is going to be basically right around here. Actually, let's just put it right here at 619. But you've had a huge move off this little downward move here, a trend, and then it just consolidated and then it just started to go on up. And you could see that's exactly what happened when it hit the bottom of this cloud. It bounced off there and started going up. Okay, 5-year Treasury bonds, nothing really going on at all. It's consolidation pattern in the daily. You can see a trend in consolidation here. The more it consolidates, the more the momentum away from the bulls is going as far as the 5-year treasury bonds are concerned. We're going to look at soybeans in a minute. 10-year treasury bond, same thing as a 5-year, so nothing really to go through there. It's just consolidating. Oats, if you look at oats here, nothing really going on at all. It's just consolidating here on the daily time frame. On the weekly time frame, it's consolidating here. However, if this thing does sit there and break this support level here at 288.16, this thing's going to go south and start a trend. So watch out for that level here, which will start a trend on both sides moving forward. Soybean futures, just like corn in the cloud, nothing really going on at all. Next resistance level is going to be basically 1279.63. Support level is going to be basically at 1156. And then wheat, if you look at wheat, same thing as corn and soy. It's had a huge movement up in the last couple of days. Resistance level is going to be 691.38, and support level is going to be 618.88. Just like the other two, this thing is still bearish, but it's basically going a minor pullback. If it could sit there, hold these resistance levels that we just talked about, which was 691, and then sit there and start coming back down to the pivot lows, and then break those, it could start trends to the downside. Okay, again, remember this is just a heat map here. Over here, if these are two time frame scenarios that we just went through, and if you remember, there's not really much opportunities out there at all, and this will kind of clue you in when the opportunities do start existing on the daily time frame, which match the weekly. So the strategy we went through on the heat map is a trend strategy with two time frame buy or sell, where you're looking for a 2 or a 4 with the same color as the weekly. And then on the weekly, you're going to look for a 2, 4, or 5 strategy. And in those scenarios, if you get those setups like we did for crude oil, then you got to wait for the next major support resistance to be broken. If it does, it's going to start a trend on both those time frames. Okay? Hope you enjoyed this week's video. Please provide us some feedback and speak to you soon.